afternoon. This is HorseRacingNation.com handicapper Jared Horak, and this is the video race of the week. I have a special guest this week from RacingWithBruno.com, Molly Jo Rosen.
Hi, I'm glad to be here.
This is exciting. We do a radio show together. We do different segments of the Fast Track with Steve Bortstein, and on Sundays I do the first segment, you do the second segment, and Steve never lets us do segments together. So now we've blocked him now. So we're just going to do our own thing. We don't need Steve in the middle of this.
Exactly. I like circumventing the system, so It's always fun.
Exactly. Okay, so the video race that we're going to do here is going to be the 10th race from Fairgrounds on February 23rd of the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes, mile and a 16th on the main track for 3-year-olds. Looks like we could have a wet track. What are you hearing about the weather forecast?
Well, what we know is that it's going to rain all week long. It's going to certainly rain all day Saturday, all day Sunday too, is what we're hearing. So kind of expect speed favoring. And Fairgrounds has certainly played towards speed most of this year anyway, this meet anyway. And I don't think we're going to see a major change in that. I think we're going to see horses towards the front just improve their position.
I think one of the major misconceptions with Fairgrounds is because it has the long stretch. People think that closers win there all the time. They do have a better chance maybe to run down and run well on the stretch, but typically speed horses do well there.
They absolutely do. I personally like horses that are sitting just off of it, maybe 3 or 4 back at the quarter pole, which can look like a closer, as you say, because Fairgrounds does have that long stretch. So I think it's at any other track you would have those horses be sitting a little closer up, but it does look sort of, it's a funny perception thing based on how long that stretch is.
Definitely is. Okay, let's talk about, first I guess we'll talk about the morning line favorite, Normandy Invasion. He's going to be 5-2 for trainer Chad Brown. He ran 3 times as a 2-year-old. He began his career at 6 furlongs at Belmont. He ended up finishing off the board, and then he broke his maiden at Aqueduct at a flat mile. That was around 1 turn, and then he ended up just missing in the Remsen Stakes in his final 2-year-old start.
That was a great race, and we have all talked about it. I am on record as saying, you don't do what that horse did in the Remsen. First off, from the 10 post. Second of all, going that wide with that trip. And yes, he hung. He got beat a nose. It happens. But that race was really impressive to me. I want to see him. He is one of the horses that I have on my list to watch, where I want to see him step up and prove that that wasn't a fluke. One thing that we have all talked about is the fact that family-wise, he is a Tappet. Tappets can easily get, what are we going this time? We're going a mile and a 16th. Tappets can easily get the distance. The Boston Harbor side of him, which is his mare side, might limit him a little bit. Mile and a 16th might be, maybe a mile and an 1/8 might be as far as he wants to go. So what'll be interesting is, if we saw him hang because of distance limitation last time, it's one thing. If that was the trip, which I believe it was, it'll be interesting to see what he can do in here. He's a deserving favorite. It was a big race. He is a nice horse. He has proven to be a nice horse from the day we saw him at the Keeneland April sale, which feels like forever ago. It's only been a year. He's a really, really, really nice animal. Be curious to see him step up here.
He's going to be probably coming from off the pace. He likes to sit back and make a late run. He doesn't have to come from last place, but he'll be sitting back, making a run. We'll have to see how he handles the wet track. And he's been training in Florida, but trainer Chad Brown has decided he didn't want to run at Gulfstream Park because it's such a speed favoring course. He thought he was going to be at a disadvantage. He's going to ship to Fairgrounds, but now he might catch the wet track, and that could be a factor as well.
Well, it might be a case of a wet track is better than violence.
It definitely could be. Violence is actually my top-ranked Derby contender. He's been there since November, and then Normandy Invasion's moved his way up to number 2 now on my list, but he's going to have to run well. He doesn't have to win this race. I think they'd be happy if he sat back, make a good late run, move on, but I'd like to see him run well here.
Absolutely, and I think he can. You know, another horse that I want to see improve is a horse like Proud Strike. We know that a horse like Code West or Golden Soul or Palace Malice can run it. I want to see Proud Strike step up and prove it. Because what he did last time out, yeah, it was 7.5, but it's how he did it. It was so easy. Brian Hernandez never moved. All he did was drop the reins, and the horse just took off. I want to see him do that. And he is getting what I think is a jock upgrade to Gary Stevens.
Definitely Gary.
Not that Brian's not wonderful, but he ain't Gary Stevens.
And he's been very hot lately. He's been winning a lot of stakes races. He had a case of seconditis, but now that's over. He's been winning stakes races in California, and he's confident right now. This horse is bred to run on a wet track. Speed figures are going up. He faced good horses in all of his career starts. Titletown 5, first time out. Lucas loves this horse. He's actually just come back from a bone chip, and he's been training well. Lucas thinks possibly this could be his best Derby prospect. Don't know if he's going to quite be there, if he's going to be able to make it to the race, but in the long term, Lucas likes Titletown 5. Bravester, who's a talented horse for Eddie Keneally. It's another one that he had run against. And then last time he won easy, and the second and third place finishers both came back to win.
Absolutely, and if we're going to talk jocks and the follow the bouncing Ramon, as I usually say when we talk about New York, or follow the bouncing Brian Hernandez Jr., it should be noted that he is taking off of, hold on one second, he is taking off of, where's my horse that I lost here? He's taking off of Golden Soul to ride Departing. That's what I was looking for. And both horses have been working exceptionally well. They both had works on Saturday. And he chooses to ride Departing for Alstall Jr., who is not Triple Crown nominated, which is an interesting play in here. But both horses trained outstanding. Bruno DiGiulio at Racing with Bruno is just over the moon about how both of them have trained. Departing's work was a little easier, was a little smoother. Golden Soul, Dallas Stewart has really cranked him down for this one, and they really believe that Golden Soul, who is a son of Perfect Soul, who shouldn't even be running this early in his 3-year-old season, frankly. A lot of them don't excel until later on in their careers, and they get better as they get older. It's really cool to see Dallas back on the Triple Crown Trail. It's really cool to see a pedigree that really shouldn't be shining yet, already shining. And, Golden Soul's an outside long shot for me in this race in here.
I picked him in the LeCompte. I liked him that day. He ran a decent race. He was second behind runaway winner Oxbow, who's also in this race. But he was coming out of a maiden right into the graded ranks, and he ran a good race, and it's good to hear that he's training well. And I would say if people like him, if you played him last time, or if you like him here, 20-1 seems like a good price. I guess we should mention Oxbow for sure. He romped in the LeCompte. He's listed at 5-1 morning line for Lucas. And Lucas got on a bit of a roll. He was winning some graded stakes races. Oxbow definitely looked good. He got loose, but maybe some other horses, if they challenge him early, he may not be able to run the same race.
Absolutely. I think, when you look at the only time this horse has ever stretched out, it was, I think, what can only be lovingly referred to as a complete throw-out race in the Grade 1 Cash Call Futurity out in California. I don't know what they were doing. I know what Violence was doing that day. I don't know what Oxbow was doing. But coming back and winning at 1:70 doesn't thrill me. I kind of wish it were a little bit longer, or a regular mile, or even a little bit further. He's bred to love anything. Awesome again out of a seized Tizzy mare. He's trained well at Oaklawn Park by all accounts up there. He's a nice horse. He's 1-for-1 over this track. You can't beat 11 1/4. That's pretty special. Then again, we saw Super 99 do it as well again on Monday. It's flashy, it's impressive, and I hope he doesn't bounce. All of the Lucas horses bounced both of the Lucas horses bounced in the Southwest Stakes on Monday at Oaklawn Park. It'll be very curious to me if Oxbow does as well. I personally don't think he will. I think we'll see him run his race, but I don't know if his race is good enough.
And since we just talked about the Southwest and we mentioned Super 99, his stablemate Code West, who finished second to Super 99 last time at 1 mile at St. Anita, is in this race for trainer Bob Baffert. He's drawn post 2. He's taken the blinkers off. He's got some good tactical speed. He should work out a decent trip. He should be at least forwardly placed and in a position to pounce in the stretch.
Absolutely. Code West is a very nice horse. He's certainly on Bob's list. I know Baffert has made mention to us who he believes his top 5 best horses are. Kind of broke my heart by telling me that Den's Legacy wasn't necessarily on that list of the best top 5 of his Derby contenders, but Code West is on that list. Code West has never run a bad race. When you look at, 5 starts, a win, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, never been out of the money, but they're all less than 3 lengths, which is really impressive to me. Granted, that's all been in Southern California. Now he's got to prove, which Baffert horses tend to be able to prove, that they can really run outside of. So we'll see. I mean, Code West certainly fits in here. He's got to be the right price. And the only interesting thing to me about that, and he proved his lone win actually is at 1.1/16, was back when he broke his maiden in October, beating some okay horses in Dr. Spin and Inflamed Spirit. What's interesting to me is Code West is a half to a horse named Charitable Man. Charitable Man was a very good sprinter for Kieran McLaughlin a few years back. I don't know if that family, I know he's a lemon drop kid, I don't know if that family really wants to really route. Kind of has to prove it to me, but then again, 1.16 maiden win is 1.16 maiden win.
Yeah, he may be able to get him on the 16th. We'll see if he can go further down the road.
Absolutely.
Another horse we should certainly mention, Malice for trainer Todd Pletcher. the son of Curlin. This one has only run 3 times, was highly regarded as a 2-year-old, broke the maiden at Saratoga, had some kind of injury, was laid off, came back in January, finished second. Magic Hussar was the winner, and it was I think it was the 3rd place finisher was far back, so the top 2 ran big races, but he is going to stretch out the 2 turns for the first time. Rosie Napravnik, the leading rider at Fairgrounds, is going to get aboard. Has some good numbers, it's proven over the wet track, but can he get her out of ground?
I don't think so. Malice is a very nice horse. Personally, my honest opinion, I'm not sure. Yes, he's a very nice horse. Yes, he's won in the mud, or he ran very good second in the mud off the layoff, and I think he needed that race. And Majestic Hussar, by the way, loves the mud, so always watch out for that. I know he's not in this race. He's running down in Florida. The issue with Malice, he likes trouble. When you read his run lines, bumped, kept busy, wide, 5 wide on the turn. This is a horse that doesn't get a clear trip. I personally, and I know he's bred to run all day, being by Curlin and all that, I don't know. He has proven to be a very good sprinter. He's proven to be a very good sprinter that likes trouble. That doesn't scream, hey, send me around the ground a whole lot. But Pletcher ships, Rosie gets up. That's always something you've got to look at. Those connections don't fool around. So Malice is interesting. I think with him, especially if you're going to be playing this race, watch the price. If it feels like too short of a price, which to me is anything less than 7 to 1, I can't touch it. But there's nothing to say Malice ain't a nice horse.
I guess Proud Strike is the one I'm most interested in. He's 8 to 1. We did mention him, but Gary Stevens is going to ride. That was a good-looking maiden win. It was a key race. He looks like he's really improving around 2 turns. He could be getting good, and he's the now horse. And we know that trainer Steve Asmussen, he doesn't train his horses quickly. We see some of these horses coming in with bullet works. What do you hear about how he's training up to this race?
Well, it's been a pleasure to get to watch Steve train for the better part of 4 or 5 years, actually longer now. Steve will typically train on a longer rein, let his horses drop their heads nice and low, relaxed gallops. Even when he does crank them up a little bit more, it really is in the way that they move. You don't see a lot of a change in time. On the contrary, when a Baffert horse is training well, you know it because there's a line of bullets all in a row. Similar thing with Pletcher. We're seeing that with Malice in coming into the Risen Star. It's just a different way of training. It's different tactics. It's different ways of horsemanship. And one thing that I and we at Racing with Bruno focus on is horsemanship. Getting to know each individual trainer, each individual track, how each trainer trains at each different track. The way that Asmussen trains at Fairgrounds is similar, but just different enough to how he trains here at Churchill. So it'll be interesting to see. It's always interesting to see, in my opinion, when you get so many different training methods in one race. And so many different horses and so many different types of horses, what happens. And I think that this happens to be a really, really, really good running of the Risen Star. And I'm really looking forward to it because I think we're seeing, this year more than I can remember in recent years, we're seeing horses that really have something to prove. And I don't know if that's because they changed the point system or implement the point system or they got away with earnings or what, but we're really seeing horses that are going to prove how good they are, and they really do have to leave it all on the track.
It definitely looks like there's some good quality in this race. Obviously, Proud Strike, we mentioned Code West for Bob Baffert coming in from the West Coast, Malice from Florida, Normandy Invasion from Florida as well. And you have Oxbow, the runaway LeComp winner. So there seems to be a lot of potential in this race for a decent horse to come in. Who do you like in this race?
Oh, Lord, I knew you were going to go there. Personally, I think Golden Soul is the upset. I think Proud Strike is hitting the board. If Departing runs his race, I don't know if they're going to beat him, given the way that Bruno has been talking about his work. And I am on the Normandy Invasion bandwagon. I can't help it. I know that's 4 horses, so in order, if I had to, Proud Strike, Normandy Invasion, Departing, and Golden Soul.
And I'm picking Proud Strike on top here. If this race is going to be part of Derby Wars on Saturday, for the Derby Wars players, Golden Soul is a live long shot for me. You like him as well. So at 20 to 1, maybe he could be the Derby Wars play in here.
Absolutely.
So I guess that'll wrap up this video. We're going to come back and we're going to do one for the Fountain of Youth as well. But in the meantime, good luck at the races, and thank you very much for joining me, Molly.
Absolutely glad to be here.